Hi guys, it's Steffi from the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to discuss the first 3 chapters in Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. So this is my read along for this month and I am pleasantly surprised at how I have enjoyed the first 3 chapters. I almost wanted to keep reading, but I am trying very hard to stick to my 3 chapters a week, just because 2 things I struggle with are classics and also prolonging reads. If I read it all in one hit, then I'm going to have a really hard time breaking it down and having little chat discussion videos for the next 4 Fridays. So I apologize if you're not at all interested in this. I totally understand if you skip this video, but for my part, this is just my journey with this particular classic book. So you will see I have started tabbing my book as I'm reading, and it's got quite a few tabs in it. Some of it I will share with you, but for those of you who are unfamiliar, I use these little transparent tabs in my books that I really love. If it's a okay book and I know that I'm not planning on keeping it, I generally don't tab it anymore. But pink is favorite quotes, orange is for cultural / social / political / moral, ethical things that I think are topics of interest, and this has changed from in the past being just plain problems with a book. So it does still highlight problematic elements for me, but it's also about those social cultural stuff that comes up these days that is really important to talk about. Yellow is for characters and relationships, green is for plot points, anything major events, or if I manage to pick up some foreshadowing, which is not very often, but there you go, and blue is for anything that evokes an emotional response. The first 3 chapters of the book are really about Victor Frankenstein's history and his past, and it opens with a series of letters from a gentleman named Robert to his sister Margaret, and Robert is traveling on a boat. One day, Robert's boat stumbles across Frankenstein and they pick him up, and basically Robert nurses him back to health and they become friends. And Victor Frankenstein then bequeaths his story to Robert, and that's where the story really kicks off. And we begin with an in-depth look at Victor's childhood and his family and how he got to the point where he is. And you can kind of tell that he is really haunted by his past because he's constantly warning Robert not to follow down the same path that he took. So I thought I would be all professional like, and I've found reading group notes and I'm going to actually use them. So I will read and answer the questions as best I can, and I will also leave the questions down below as well as the links to where you can find them. And if you would like to join in the conversation, feel free to answer the questions down below or just have any general discussion that you like. So the first question is Robert Walton a reliable narrator, and why or why not? Yes and no. There's another question here that says, how does Robert's desire for a friend affect his relationship with Dr. Frankenstein? And how might this relationship affect the reader's trust in Walton and, you know, his reliability as a narrator? And I think that's a really important question because it's really clear from the letters that Robert feels very, very isolated. He says as much in his letters to Margaret, and you can tell by the tone that he's desperate to have someone to connect with and someone to share his adventures and his successes and his failures with. And when he stumbles across Dr. Frankenstein and brings him on board, he's the only one who nurses him back to health. None of the other ship's crew come in and help. It's basically Robert's job. He sees in Victor the chance for companionship, so I think it's going to be interesting to see whether he is a reliable narrator, and I don't think I can say with 100% certainty yes or no either way at the moment, but I think there's definitely a skewed perspective because he's desperate for this friendship. The next question says, how does Victor's statement that the world was to me a secret which I desired to divine, how does that serve as a characterization? And I think that's a really interesting one because it's very, very clear that Victor is so strongly driven by his desire to unravel mysteries and to divine secrets that nothing else matters, because you see him descend into this obsessive, sort of manic type character who has to find the answer and has to solve the problem. He won't rest and he won't eat and he won't communicate with people until he's done that. And that was really interesting to read. There's so many characters that we read about or that we watch these days that really exist in the world who are so driven by what they are passionate about that they almost exclude everything else around them. And it was interesting to read that on the page. Another question says, Victor's obsession with natural science results in 2 years passing with no visits home. How would you evaluate his character at this point? Obsessed. It's a real turnaround because he had a really strong relationship with Elizabeth and generally with his family. Like, he was concerned after his mother passed and, you know, had considered whether or not to actually go off to school and to continue his studies, which he obviously did, but family was an important part to him, and to break contact for 2 years and to know that the people that he cared about most have no idea what's going on, how he's doing, if he's well, which he's not, and if he's happy even. It's really interesting because it does show just how obsessed Victor is with what he's doing and the desire to succeed. There are a couple of other questions that I will leave down below, so you can feel free to answer those ones. I just picked the ones that I really liked, but I did want to talk a little bit about the bits that I tabbed. So let's have a look. The one thing that really pleasantly surprised me about this is I struggle with classic books because of the way that they're written, generally speaking, but Mary Shelley has a really lovely way of writing. So once I got past the first couple of letters, which I think is where I got stuck the last time I attempted to start reading this, once I got past those, I was fully immersed, because I'm very much a modern day reader. I like really short, punchy sentences, and I like things to make sense because I read very quickly. And as a reader, I know that I need to make sure I'm reading things that this still has that really lovely classic writing style. It's, you know, beautifully written, longer sentences, things I need to actually stop and think about. But at the same time, I'm really enjoying the process of reading it. So a couple of the quotes that I really liked. One was this one, which I think is from one of the letters. "For nothing contributes so much to tranquilize the mind as a steady purpose, a point on which the soul may fix its intellectual eye." I just really liked the flow of that. There's another really good quote that sort of highlights Victor's descent, really, because it says, "It was a strong effort of the spirit of good, but it was ineffectual. Destiny was too potent, and her immutable laws had decreed my utter and terrible destruction." So you can tell that he's very self-aware of what's going on. And then this is another quote that I think was in one of the questions. It says, "Learn from me, if not by my precepts, at least by my example, how dangerous is the acquirement of knowledge, and how much happier that man is who believes his native town to be the world than he who aspires to become greater than his nature will allow." There's this very acute sense of awareness around Victor, that he knows what he's become and what his journey has led him to and what his desire for knowledge has led him to. And that really sums it up, because he's desperately warning Robert off this journey that he's on, this obsession, because he knows the road that it leads to. And as the reader, we still don't really know that path because, you know, bringing in my background knowledge of the story of Frankenstein, I have a vague idea, but I don't know the story. And so this is really serving as a warning, not just for Robert, but also for the reader. So overall, I am really, really enjoying this. I am looking forward to reading the next 3 chapters and then trying to get my thoughts down. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to keep going with the reading note questions, or whether you would like me to do vlog style, or whether you would just like me to chat at you. If you would like me to keep talking about the bits that I've tabbed, I'm happy to do that as well. I don't know, just let me know. But as always, I'm really looking forward to the discussion in the comments. Feel free to chat with me and with other people, because that's the point of this, and I would really like to talk to some people about it. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you are having a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.